This is a four-voice deposition transcript at 160 words per minute. I am the examining attorney for the plaintiff, Mr. Murphy, M-U-R-P-H-Y.
I am the witness.
I am for defense number 2, Mr. McCloskey, M-C, capital C-L-O-S-K-Y.
I am defense attorney number 1, Mr. Hibber, H-I-B-E-R.
Ready? Begin. Did you do any mopping or buffing work for your employer before February 2, 2007 in the Bendix building?
Well, February 2nd, that was on what day?
On a Friday.
Well, I hadn't done any... Did you say waxing or buffing?
Yes.
Well, that was done on Monday or Tuesday.
The Monday or Tuesday before Friday, February 2nd, 2007, you did some mopping and buffing and waxing in the Bendix building, did you?
Well, dry mopping and buffing.
And during the month of January 2007, how often did you do mopping or buffing or waxing in the Bendix building?
I don't want to interrupt, but for clarity's sake, are you referring to the whole building or just certain floors?
I will come to this floor in a minute.
All right.
Strike the question. We will refer to the corridor on the 5th floor of the Bendix building. Just after you come out of the elevator on the 5th floor, there is a corridor hallway there.
Yes.
Do you know if the floor covering on that corridor has been changed since February 2, 2007?
We will object to the question on the ground it is immaterial and instruct the witness not to answer on that ground.
I will join in that objection.
Off the record. Now, on that day, Monday or Tuesday before February 2nd, 2007, what did you do to the asphalt tile on that floor, the corridor we are speaking of?
The 5th floor?
Yes.
On that Monday or Tuesday?
Yes.
I dry mopped it and buffed it.
You said you dry mopped it. Now, what do you mean by that?
What I mean by dry mopping is I used 1 part wax and 2 parts water or more. Most of the time it is more. And I put the mop in this container and wring it out, and then I mopped the floor with it.
Well, now, after you got the water and the wax in the container, what is the first thing you did?
Could you repeat that?
Will you read the last question?
The first thing I did, I put the mop in the container, and it was wet. And then I would wring it out and mop the floor.
Did you do anything to the floor before you mopped the floor? And when I say the floor, I mean the
5th floor?
Yes, the floor of the corridor on the 5th floor.
Did I do anything to it?
Yes.
No, I didn't do anything to it.
You didn't sweep the floor first?
It had been swept, but I didn't sweep it.
How did you know that it had been swept?
How did I know it had been swept?
Yes.
We will object to the question as being argumentative.
He said he knew it had been swept. He said it had been swept.
Well, I seen the man when he swept it.
That night?
Yes.
Someone in the crew?
No, I don't think so.
Well, do you know by whom the man was employed that swept it?
Well, he was an old man. I don't remember his name just now.
Was he one of the maintenance company men?
Yes, he was a maintenance company man, but he worked alone like I did, individually. He didn't work in the crew.
You didn't see him sweeping?
I did.
At what time of the night did you see him sweeping, or whenever he did it?
It was in the evening after 5. Now, approximately the hour, I couldn't say.
Before you started the work on that corridor floor, had you done any work on any other floors?
I am sure I had.
Do you remember where the last floor was that you worked on before the one on the 5th floor?
We will object to the question as not being material.
It is going to be very material.
Well, the complaint alleges that the accident in question occurred on the 5th floor, and therefore I will object to the question on the ground that this question asked for an immaterial answer, and I instruct the witness not to answer.
You may reserve your objection because it is going to be material. If it is not, you can strike it.
Go ahead if you want to pursue the question.
Do you know what floor you moved from to the corridor of the 5th floor?
On this Friday night you are speaking of now?
Yes, the last time you mopped before Friday night.
Before Friday night or on Friday night?
You say you mopped it on a Monday or Tuesday before Friday, February 2nd. That is the last time you worked on that corridor floor?
Yes, that is the last time I waxed the floor. Now, what day are you talking about? Did I move from what floor to the 5th floor?
Let's go back. Did you work on that corridor floor on the 5th floor anytime between Monday and Tuesday preceding February 2nd to February 2nd?
I did.
Now, on the nights between Monday and preceding Friday, February 2nd, 2007, did you look to see if there was any wax accumulated on the buffer?
Any wax accumulated on the buffer? No, sir.
You didn't look to see if there was any?
No, sir.
During that time I mentioned, do you know if the buffer you used had been cleaned before that time?
Would you read the question back? Counsel, you mean if it had ever been cleaned?
To his knowledge.
Well, you haven't made that too clear. You mean the buffer or the brush?
Well, the brush is on the buffer. There is a brush, a circular brush on the buffer, isn't there?
That is two separate things, though.
Sir, do you know if at any time the brush on the buffer had been cleaned before February 2nd, 2007?
No.
Did you yourself ever clean it?
No.